JOJO Rabbit. This is a movie directed by Taika Waititi. It stars Roman Griffin Davis, Sam Rockwell, Scarlett Johansson, Alfie Allen, and it's just a very good, fun movie. There are some flaws with this film, but I think overall, when it comes to Jojo Rabbit, it's very enjoyable. I think it's acceptable for all audiences. It's very accessible. This isn't necessarily a movie that will teach you the entire history of World War II. It's not there to do that. It's there to provide a light allegory. It's based on Caged Skies, and I want to go into a little history. I grew up with this topic kind of in my mind, um, just because I've grown up in history class we've learned this, but it's also just been something very close to me that been I've studied a lot just throughout school. So for Taika Waititi to adapt this book into a film, he really is making a big decision. He gets a lot of attention, and a lot of people will look at this film and say it will get controversy. A lot of people mentioned before the film even released that it will most likely offend people, but this is just showing how a movie like this stirs attention. And then when you actually see the movie, people were disappointed. I think people were just high up film critics were disappointed that they didn't get this large scaled, World War II epic. But I think that's not a problem. I always forgive movies and I always give movies more thorough evaluations when they're smaller or when they're applying to a large audience. I think this fits that case. This isn't a movie that's meant to, again, it's not meant to be a history lesson. It still feels really fun and deep rooted in its family sense of fun. This is a funny movie. I know a couple of people who didn't find it funny. I think if you're gonna watch it with your family, it will definitely work. I think if you're really snobby and you don't find these jokes, there are a lot of innuendos and some jokes that poke fun at Nazis and stuff like that. It's all light and it's PG-13 humor, but I thought it worked. There are some things that aren't as funny. Hail Hitler is said 31 times in the movie. I want to point out I was not offended by this. I was not, because this seems like a scene that would trigger many people, especially in 2019 or 2020. Um, we live in a society that just a scene like that could anger so many people. And it's ridiculous because it's a movie, it's a joke, and it's one artist's vision. And I will not be offended by that. I'm just pointing out that I didn't find that to be funny. I think that some scenes in the film are a little repetitive. That's my problem with it, that's all. Overall, though, I saw this movie twice, and I really liked it the second time. The first time, I just had issues with the way it was paced. I think it goes into its dark half pretty quickly because it has a dark second half, but it's not that horrifying or grabs you. I think if you are very innocent and you like watching fun, happy movies, then it might grab you and surprise you a little. But aside from that, it didn't do much to me. I found this movie to be really enjoyable, and I think up until the last scene, it has a really nice sense of bittersweet emotion, and it knows its audience, even if it can be a little stupid. But again, I allow this movie to be because it knows what its audience is. This is a movie that you can show to eighth graders in a classroom to teach them about World War II. I personally would show Come and See to everyone and say this is a definitive war movie, but I don't think you can show that necessarily in a middle school classroom. So I give Taika Waititi credit for wanting to just teach everyone, teach the next generation about Nazis and the atrocities and giving it a humorous lens, because what he does isn't really that deep. It's not a deep dive, but it's still a somewhat funny and lighter parody, and it's just as affecting as Life is Beautiful. I think Life is Beautiful is possibly better. It's not, I mean, they're both very funny. This is trying to do the same thing. there's just levels to the darkness that I think this could have gone further, but I also think there's positivities there. I'm really divided with a film like this because I like comedies and I like movies that are meant to get a large audience, but I also like seeing some really dark truths being revealed. So Jojo Rabbit does a pretty good job at balancing all these themes, and I would give it a B.